Thanksgiving, it's time to get in touch with the things that you're grateful for. You're grateful that you feel well. So obviously, you eat until you hate yourself as a reminder that you could feel better than that. That's how I see it, and that's my approach. I eat large amounts of turkey and then try and go to sleep. And yesterday I didn't try and go to sleep. Yesterday I went to the mall with my girlfriend, and you know what? We talk about the game of football and how brutal that game can be. Just absolutely brutal. Tony Romo injured his collarbone. So we'll talk a little bit about that later today. But it's such a difficult sport because it's brutal. It's large men running and colliding into each other at high speeds. It's like modern jousting. I went to the mall yesterday. Okay, my girlfriend wanted some boots, so we went to go to the mall to go to the J.C. Penney to get some boots. And what I saw there, that's more brutal than any helmet-to-helmet collision I've ever seen in my life. Like, the brutality there. People are fighting over boxes of shoes. It looks like a wasteland. Like, it looks like the beginning of Terminator when all the machines are stepping on the human bones of everything that's been left behind because the apocalypse has basically come. That's what it looked like inside that J.C. Penney. Brutal. Okay? And I'm going, this is more brutal than anything I've seen on TV. We're talking about, in football, we're talking about maybe 1,000 guys in total in and out of the league in various stages of their career that can do what those guys do. Okay, the chances of you meeting one of them is very low. The people that are causing this brutality in the mall, in the Hamilton Place Mall where I was yesterday, the people causing that level of carnage, that's our family and friends. These are people that we know. That person is serving you food later. That person is giving you health care later. That could be your nurse. That could be your doctor, your dentist. Man, Black Friday turns us into a bunch of monsters. That's the conclusion that I came to. Thanksgiving and eating, sure, gluttony is not fantastic, but at the same time, it turns you into a person who wants to sleep more. Boy, you put some low prices in front of people, they turn into a bunch of monsters, man. That store was wrecked, and we were there trying to talk to the poor J.C. Penney employees that are in there going, well, we don't even know how we're going to put this stuff back. That's what one of the ladies that worked there told me. Like, we don't even know how we're going to put any of this back. We don't know where it goes. It's so far out of place from where it started because we're just tearing up the store. Okay, I'm just trying to walk off some turkey. That's what I showed up for. I bought nothing. I was just trying to walk the turkey off so I could try and eat more turkey later, which I did. So that's a small victory there, I suppose. You're listening to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio Clutch with Keon Rose, and we're going to talk about some of the Thanksgiving games yesterday. Mr. Judd and I, we did our picks, and we included Russell. Russell got in on the action this week. Russell does not watch sports. Russell knows more about computers and technology than just about anybody that I know. And Russell was picking sports today with us. And because of the wealth of knowledge that Russell has when it comes to technology, we're going to be looking forward to Binary on Monday because Black Friday's today. I'm very interested in seeing what he went out and got. And Cyber Monday is right around the corner also. So all of the deals there, by the time you hear his show on Cyber Monday, there'll still be some deals left for you to try and capitalize on, and we'll see what his recommendations are for some technology you should be using in your life. That's Binary with Russell. I'm just overwhelmed by the Cowboys talk. Okay, I've been listening to the radio today, Everybody's talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Romo, his collarbone fracture. Did the Cowboys rush him back too soon? All of these things. And you know what? It's like, it's weird because the Cowboys get so much attention, and they're just in that vein of teams, the Cowboys, the Lakers, the Yankees, whatever team's got LeBron on it. They're polarizing. They draw all of this attention. It's like 5 other teams didn't play football yesterday, which is odd to me that's dominating the conversation. That, yes, Tony Romo's injured, but, I mean, the Panthers were beating the Cowboys to death before Tony Romo got hurt. Like, the Cowboys season was going to be over if they lost that game. And, oh, yeah, they were down 20 at the half. I'm not saying comebacks don't happen. And if anybody could lead a comeback, it is Romo. Okay, he's done it before. I think he's got the most comebacks of any quarterback that's active in the league right now. But the odds were not in their favor on that one. And we're talking about the Panthers being 10-0. They look incredible. They look fantastic. Luke Kuechly was in Tony Romo's head with him, picked him off twice on one play where it was obvious Luke recognized the play before it started. Like, I was watching the game with my brother, and I saw Kuechly look at Romo, and I called it. I was just like, Kuechly's going to pick this one off. He saw the play. The Cowboys ran it earlier in the game. They didn't change anything. Kuechly recognized the play and picked off a pass, I think, intended for Jason Witten. Just undercut it and took it away. Pick 6. I mean, the Panthers were dominating that game. It's not like the Cowboys were in it and then Romo was out. Let's give some credit here to the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys season, so far as I was concerned, watching the game the way that I was watching it, the Cowboys season was over. Okay? That's a wrap. That game was ending in that half. Yes, Dallas can lead furious comebacks, but again, it's hard to lead that kind of comeback against a defense like Carolina's. Carolina's got one of the best defenses in the league. Luke Kuechly is the best middle linebacker in football, and Josh Norman is looking like the best corner in the league. He looks better than Sherman. He looks better than Revis. He looks for all the world like the best corner in football. This is the same Josh Norman who, before he intercepted Jameis Winston on a Sunday, called the league office because he knew he was going to pick off Jameis Winston and return it for a touchdown. He just wanted to know if his touchdown celebration was league approved. He called the league office to make sure that his touchdown celebration was approved. And then he picked off Jameis Winston, scored the touchdown, got a flag and fined. On top of, like, just to add everything to that. The touchdown celebration, they ended up taking away the fine, but he did get the flag, which is weird. He called the league office. Like, to have the presence of mind to several days in advance go, you know what? I see some patterns in Jameis Winston's passing that I can take advantage of. I'm going to call the league office because I'm scoring this week. Wide receivers don't know if they're scoring every week. That's crazy. Josh Norman looks fantastic. And he was having fun. Because here's the thing. Josh Norman has become, over the last few weeks, the kind of guy that you don't throw the ball in his direction. You just don't do it. It's a bad idea. And because he was covering Dez Bryant and because the Cowboys need to throw to Dez Bryant, Josh Norman finally had a situation where people had to throw the ball in his direction. And he was frustrating Dez. He was talking to Dez. He was in Dez's ear. He was in Dez's head. Huge fan of Josh Norman and the Carolina Panthers. Like, what they're doing in Carolina is basically throwback football. They're playing ugly 70s football. We run a lot. Our defense is hard hitting. We're not throwing the ball downfield a ton. We've got Cam Newton. He's large. We're running with him. We've got Jonathan Stewart. He's strong. We're running with him. We've got Mike Tolbert. He's also large, but wider. We're running with him. And then, because you have to respect our run, we're going to chuck it over the top of you every now and then. And you'll never be able to score on us because Josh Norman and Luke Kuechly look for all the world like the most dominant players of their positions. You add in Jared Allen on the defensive line, and you've got something in Carolina. That's a scary team over there. They're the new Seahawks. They're the Seahawks 2.0. Their defense is better, at least more consistent, especially up front, because they don't have the injuries that Seattle has. And Cam Newton is better than Russell Wilson. He may not be a better passer, but he's a more durable, stronger runner. He's got more experience in the league. You can see Cam going through his progressions, making the right decisions with the football. And when he throws it, he's got a strong arm. And he doesn't have to escape the pocket as much. The designed runs with him are ridiculous. I don't know how you stop him. The Panthers look incredible. And we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that season's over. That ship has sailed. And it was over before Romo got hurt. Okay? I understand that he's an elite quarterback. He's a high-level quarterback. I like Tony Romo. That game was over before he got injured. Let's just get that straight, because they were not moving the ball on Carolina. And when they finally did with Matt Castle, it took them 8 minutes, or however long it took them. It took them forever to get the ball to the end zone. If you're just going to keep, throwing little silly underneath passes, Carolina will let you live with that. You'll never score fast enough to beat them. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose, just talking about the Thanksgiving games that happened. Another Thanksgiving game that I'd like to talk about, obviously, Lions and Eagles. That one was great. Matthew Stafford looks like that guy again. Threw 5 touchdown passes yesterday, 3 of them to Megatron. Calvin Johnson beat the Eagles up. Just beat them up. Like every time I looked around, I looked down at my computer, I was reading some things, I'd look up. Oh, look, the Lions are in the red zone again. The Lions are in the red zone again. Oh, is that Calvin Johnson again? Yeah, it is. And I question some of the things that the Eagles are doing because they don't have the talent to guard anybody, and they don't have the talent to score. And I don't know if you give Chip Kelly a longer leash because he doesn't have a quarterback that he can trust and use. But there's not that many quarterbacks going around in the league. And Chip didn't think to draft one last year. He should have drafted one. Like if quarterback is going to be your thing, you brought in Sam Bradford. Why? To run your high tempo system that involves a lot of running. You brought in the Sam Bradford with the 2 torn ACLs that can't run. What was the logic behind that one there, Chip, my friend? It's just one of those things. When you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're not. You can't prove it. It's a thing that I used to have. I used to feel like when I would walk into various rooms, I would like to be the smartest person in the room. That was something that I would like. I like to be the best at things. But over time, I learned, you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably not. You're probably not. And it's accepting that you're not the smartest guy in the room that gives you room to grow, that gives you room to be your best self. You know what? I don't have to be the best. Chip Kelly doesn't have to be the smartest guy in the room. He needs to let go of the general manager position there. Be the coach. Let someone else get you the personnel. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. We'll be talking Iron Bowl and more next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Celebrate the holidays with cheer and basement bargain prices at One Stop Package in the Sunrise Market Center, Sunny Daisy. The brand new One Stop Package beverage store on Old Dayton Pike, just north of the Thrasher Light, with the best prices in town. Enjoy the lowest prices on beer, wine, liquor, and soft drinks. Hey, mention you heard this ad on Hot News Talk Radio and get 5% off your purchase. That's right. Mention you heard this on the radio and you'll get 5% off. The brand new One Stop Package beverage store in Sunny Daisy. Their prices are always the lowest prices in town. The lowest prices you'll find in the finest of adult beverages. The brand new One Stop Package in South Sunny Daisy at the Sunrise Market, featuring great prices on gas, bread, and milk. The Sunrise Market just across from Charlie's in Sunny Daisy. And remember, always drink responsibly.
Get 10% off every case of wine.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report, every Sunday at 9 a.m. My guest this week is the former commissioner of the New York City Department of Corrections, who in a twist of fate became an inmate of the very prison system he once oversaw. Don't miss a riveting look at prison reform with Bernard Carrick this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Costa Report, right here on AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
I love my Flex loan from Advance Financial. I needed cash, I needed it fast, and I didn't want to get a payday loan. My Flex loan from Advance Financial is not a payday loan. It's a line of credit. I only pay for the cash I need, and I only pay for the time that I need it. There's no lump sum payment. My Advance Financial Flex loan is an open line of credit, and I can get cash anytime I need it.
Visit one of our 24/7 locations and get the cash you need today. Advance Financial, welcome.
Tired of insurance companies? Tired of doctors that won't spend time with you? Do something different. Leave the sick care model of medicine and come to Dr. Danielle Mitchell, the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health, where we're interested in long-term health solutions, not the quick fixes. Come see me, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, at the Chattanooga Sports Institute and Center for Health. I'm all about the long-term healthcare solutions and doing what's best. On the web, you can find me at ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. That's ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Or call us at 875-1005, 875-1005, or find us on social media, Facebook, Dr. Danielle Mitchell, or the ChattanoogaSportsInstitute.com. Let's go, ya!
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Looking and feeling pretty good out there through the afternoon with partly cloudy skies, highs back into the upper 60s. Tonight, a few more clouds, lows only 49 to 52. Mostly cloudy Saturday, still mainly dry, upper 60s with more clouds and some showers rolling in Sunday. Want to be the house that all of the neighbors stop by to admire? Then stop by your neighborhood Ace this weekend. They'll help you find the right lights, cords, and decorations to make your house shine at your local neighborhood Ace. And I'm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
College football playoff committee's got a conundrum on their hands, and we didn't have this really pop up as an issue last year. I'm not saying it was obvious who the best teams were, but it wasn't this crazy. Where you just have some schools that they're undefeated, but they're smaller, but they're not known as football schools, and we don't know how strong they are. I really think that college football, the NC2A, needs to consider interleague play, forcing interleague play. Find another conference, play football against those guys. Because I can't tell how good you are when you beat up on Vanderbilt all the time. I can't tell how good you are if Missouri is the team that you're beating up on. Okay, it's just hard to tell. I can't figure out how good you are. And I really, really like Brett Bielema's idea of the Big Ten challenge. Have the SEC play the Big Ten. Have the Big 12 play the Pac-12. Have the ACC play somebody. Right now, I think the only school that we know how strong they are, really know how strong they are, Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays every conference. So we have an idea how strong they are. I don't know how strong Iowa is. They either play the Big Ten or garbage. We didn't know how strong Ohio State was until Michigan State beat them. And even then, that's not a great indicator of how strong Ohio State is. That just tells us that Michigan State beat them on a day when both schools decided to play boring, overly conservative football. So I don't know how strong those schools are. And because they don't do anything but play cupcakes or the bad schools in their conference, I don't know. I have no way of telling. But what if the Big Ten had to play the SEC? Then you'd see Ohio State against the Texas A&M. You'd see Ohio State against the Florida or a Georgia. And then you'd have a good idea. You could gauge it on something as to how good these teams are. You know, we talk about the strength of the SEC, but we don't know. Sometimes we don't know outside of the SEC how strong these teams are because you're playing inside of the conference. And you've got a lot of powerful teams in there. You've got a lot of big programs, national title teams in there, but it doesn't make a difference because I can't gauge that strength relative to anybody else's. I have no idea. We know the SEC is strong. We're pretty sure most of those teams could beat most teams in other conferences. We're pretty sure. But we don't know. Not for an absolute fact, and I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that played out. Play the Big Ten 1 year. Play the ACC 1 year. Just so I can see it. Just so we can know for sure. I'm telling you, this whole college football conundrum where you've just got the Big 12 wrecking one another right now coming down the stretch, where you've got the SEC wrecking each other early on. The SEC could probably have some teams that are playoff worthy. You could probably argue 2, even 3 SEC teams in the college football playoff. Like, I'm not sure Iowa's better than Florida. Granted that Florida lost Will Grier, but Will Grier and Florida, not sure that Iowa's better than them. What if Iowa early had to run into a healthy Georgia? I don't think Iowa's better than them. Well, they're 4 in the ranking. Oklahoma almost lost to Tennessee. Should have lost to Tennessee. They were one Baker Mayfield first down away from losing to Tennessee. How strong is Oklahoma? What if Oklahoma was able to beat Tennessee, had to run into Georgia the next week? Are we talking about Oklahoma being in the top 4? Probably not. I like the idea of the challenge across all conferences so that we can start to understand how strong these schools are relative to one another. We don't know. And because we're kind of making this up as we go along, we have no scientific way of knowing. And I really like Notre Dame because Notre Dame has played all kinds of schools on their schedule. Deshaun Kaiser's been amazing for them, but we've got to see him in a number of different situations, and Notre Dame's only lost to Clemson. So we know how strong Notre Dame is. Relative to the best team in the nation, they look good. They lost to Clemson in the rain. I'm going to take that. Okay? I will. They play Stanford tomorrow at 7:30. Stanford's 9-2. Stanford's very much in this thing because of how hot they've gotten after that loss. But let's take a look at Notre Dame's schedule because Notre Dame has played like everyone. Clemson lost to Clemson 24-22. But they beat USC. They beat Temple. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat Wake Forest. They beat Boston College. And they're playing Stanford. They beat Texas nearly to death. They beat Virginia, Georgia Tech. So they've played ACC. They've played Big 12. They've played Pac-12. And not just schools in those conferences, the big names in those conferences. Georgia Tech was ranked really high when they beat them. Clemson was ranked 12th when they beat them. Now number 1. Temple was ranked 21st when they beat them. And Temple was also undefeated when they beat them. And Stanford tomorrow is ranked 9th. Notre Dame's not backing down from anybody. But a lot of these schools, and I'm not saying that's the case of the SEC, but certainly a lot of schools in the Big Ten, especially early on in the season, got to hide. Now, it's risky because if you play tougher schools early on, you might lose early on. I think you lose early. If you ever have to lose in this situation, you've got to lose early. Because of how subjective this all is, the committee is looking at basically, what have you done for me lately? What's going to be the best school heading into the college football playoff? We don't care if you were undefeated to start the season. How do you finish? A 2-loss team could get in theory. You've got to have some losses pile up for a lot of schools here, but a 2-loss team could get in. And it wouldn't be all that hard, and it wouldn't be all that shocking either. Okay? So it's not a situation where, and this is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today on a post-Thanksgiving day. Partly cloudy. I'm still foggy from all the turkey. Just happens that way. But I think that you really got to find either, I think we've got to find either a more scientific method of choosing these teams or make them play each other. Make them play each other. Like this, because it's basically designated rivalry week, or as I like to call it, hate week. This is the closest that we're going to get for some schools to a difficult team being on their schedule. Ohio State had Michigan State that they lost to before, but they play Michigan. Michigan's ranked 10th, and Michigan and Ohio State, they're not friends. And Harbaugh in particular has got Michigan gunning for Ohio State. Like they want to bring those boys down. And that's just one. Baylor and TCU square off. TCU beats Baylor. Could be over for the Big 12. Baylor needs to beat TCU. They've got a shot to get in if they do. Iowa and Nebraska. Another rivalry game. Iowa is a 2.5-point underdog against, or a 2.5-point favorite against Nebraska. Nebraska's got a losing record, but Nebraska always plays Iowa tough, and it's a rivalry game. Fluky, weird things happen in rivalry games. We saw Texas beat Oklahoma earlier in the Red River Shootout because rivalry games, man. Rivalry games. You just can't predict them. They just go weird. They do strange things. Okay. Clemson's going to play South Carolina. That's the closest thing to a lopsided game that we've got. The Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn. Bama's got to win out. Auburn is a good matchup for them. Auburn's a really good matchup for them. Okay. Peyton Barber for Auburn, good running back. He's no Derrick Henry for sure, but he's good. Auburn likes to spread you out. They play you well. They play fast. Alabama has trouble guarding schools like that as opposed to the LSUs of the world that play like them. Was talking to Mr. Judd about it earlier on the David Tulis show. We were both filling in along with Russell. And David Tulis show from 9 to 11. You can catch that here on Hot News Talk Radio. but with more David Tulis, obviously. Less sports talk, I imagine, with David Tulis. A little less sports talk, a little less turkey talk also. But that's the David Tulis show from 9 to 11. We were filling in for David Tulis, and we were talking about earlier when we were making our picks, we were talking about one of the things that really came to mind being that excuse me here. Just boy. Lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought there. But we were talking about Auburn being a bad matchup for Alabama. That's what it was. And Auburn spreads you out, and beating up Alabama isn't a way to go because they're bigger and stronger and faster than you. They're just more physical than you are. They don't blitz very often because they don't have to. The thing about Alabama and the Iron Bowl is they're so deep. They've got linebackers for every situation, which is crazy. Every situation. They've got linebackers for speed. They've got linebackers for strength. They've got linebackers for pass rushing, for dropping into pass coverage. I mean, that to me, Alabama, most complete team in the nation. I think Clemson gets the edge, and I see why the committee is giving them the edge. First off, the no losses really help the cause. But secondly, just a little bit more offensive firepower through the air for Clemson. That I still think that we're in this very, very much in this belief that you've still got to be able to throw the football and throw it well to win ultimately in college football. And Alabama throws the ball pretty well, but you look at the other schools in this top four, they're all slinging the rock. They're all passing the ball. You look at Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma. He's passing the ball. They're throwing the ball around a lot in Oklahoma. So you look at a lot of these top four schools, and they're passers. They're passers. Alabama is the team that runs a lot. And I don't know that the committee puts them above Clemson for that reason. Alabama is like the one school that they pass the eye test. The eye test is unscientific, and it's strange because your eyes deceive you. Okay, there are a lot of people that will look at games and see something that's not there. Saw it with the Warriors in the playoffs against the Cavs. Watched those games and somehow thought Matthew Dellavedova was shutting Steph Curry down. Steph Curry was missing open shots. But every now and then, the eye test passes. Every now and then, you can just look at something and go, you know what? That's good. You know what? I understand on sight what that is. You see Alabama passes the eye test. Just watching Alabama, you know they're good. And it doesn't matter who they play. They show up and they win out. Nick Saban is out to prove something, because I think when they lost to Ole Miss earlier in the season, people started burying Alabama. And in fairness, okay, I understand that Nick Saban is a grumpy, ornery man that basically has a tenuous relationship with the media. It's not like people started burying Alabama for no reason. If you watch that Ole Miss game, and in the context of what their record was at the time, okay, people weren't burying Alabama for no good reason. Okay, it wasn't made up. We didn't imagine what we saw. Bama looked bad. They looked wounded. And ever since then, they've been making everybody look stupid. But we didn't make up the burial of Alabama. Was it a bit premature? Yes, but that's the sports media for you. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, Clutch with Keon Rose. We're going to be talking some NASCAR with my buddy Sam, breaking down the race from last week. Next.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Celebrate the holidays with cheer and basement bargain prices. And one-stop package in the Sunrise Market Center, Sunny Daisy. The brand new one-stop package beverage store on Old Dayton Pike, just north of the Thrasher Light, with the best prices in town. Enjoy the lowest prices on beer, wine, liquor, and soft drinks. Hey, mention you heard this ad on Hot News Talk Radio and get 5% off your purchase. That's right. Mention you heard this on the radio and you'll get 5% off. The brand new one-stop package beverage store in Sunny Daisy. Their prices are always the lowest prices in town. The lowest prices you'll find in the finest of adult beverages. The brand new one-stop package in South Sunny Daisy at the Sunrise Market, featuring great prices on gas, bread, and milk. The Sunrise Market just across from Charlie's in Sunny Daisy. And remember, always drink responsibly.
Get 10% off every case of wine.
The Fed raising rates, China's economy in trouble. Don't let headlines derail your long-term financial strategy. I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Patrick Neal. At Edward Jones, we provide the tools for a reasoned, disciplined approach to investing. Stop by my office next to the Target Shopping Center in Hickson or call me at 423-870-7894. That's Patrick Neal at 870-7894. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
I'm the type of guy that likes a big breakfast, a couple of eggs, bacon, and some gravy and biscuits. I get that at Wimpy's. I know they have specials at lunch every day. That includes a big meat and three menu. At night, I want some good comfort food. Maybe some smoked brisket, pulled barbecue, or ribs. They've got that too. Wimpy's the type of place where you can go in and have a good conversation, catch up what's going on in Saudi Daisy, and have some great food. That's why I go to Wimpy's. You know where it's at, on Dayton Boulevard, right across from City Hall. That's Wimpy's. Give them a call, 423-332-6201. Did you hear me? It's 332-6201. Wimpy's. They're even on Facebook at Wimpy's. I know your mouth is watering just like mine. So let's go to Wimpy's.
This is AM 1240.
Like, where do you see somebody tripping somebody up?
Hot News Talk Radio.
Well, yeah, it could be even
And
easier.
we have-
If Stanford beats Notre Dame, as they're favored to do, then any idiot in America could sit down and come up with the 4 playoff teams, and there's almost no need to even meet.
Well,
because it would be like
hold on a
you just
second.
said, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and the winner of Michigan State, Iowa, in the Big Ten title game. A couple of complicating factors could arise. One would be Clemson loses to North Carolina in the ACC title game. If Notre Dame wins and is 11-1, I still think Notre Dame's in a difficult spot, because how can you take 11-1 Notre Dame over 12-1 Clemson? If you start to break it down even further, North Carolina doesn't have any wins at all, but they're the ACC champs. So do you start to reconsider exactly how you get Clemson in versus North Carolina? I think also, obviously, Penn State could beat Michigan State, and then Michigan could beat Ohio State, and you end up with 2-loss Michigan playing potentially 1-loss Iowa that loses to Nebraska. Then does the Big Ten definitely get a playoff team? I think there's an uncertainty there as to whether or not they would deserve to get in. So that, to me, is where things get really complicated. We can go even further. Florida State beats Florida, and then Florida pulls off the upset over Alabama, and you've got a 2-loss SEC team. Does Florida deserve to get in? I think probably not. So when you run all of these permutations, the expected outcomes are not complicated, but it's college football. There always seems to be something crazy that happens at the last.
This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose, and we've got a lot to talk about now. We're talking about NASCAR, the race from last week in which Kyle Busch has ended the season. And here's the thing. Just coming in here with Sam, who is my friend and my NASCAR expert. I turn to you. Did you have a good Thanksgiving there, Sam?
Hey, Keon. Thanks for having me on the show. I had a great Thanksgiving. How was yours?
Mine was pretty good. There's a lot of turkey and mac and cheese involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think after yesterday, I think, because I always forget every year, why does turkey make you sleepy? Well, I remembered that yesterday. I was laying on the couch. It was, yeah.
It's got to be some kind of drug, man, because, like, chicken doesn't do that to you, but turkey does.
Yeah, it has to. Yeah. So, yeah, it was great.
All right. Well, I'm glad you had a good Thanksgiving. Let's just jump into this here. Yeah. What was your breakdown of the race? Just ultimately, what did your huge takeaway end up being?
I think my huge takeaway was it was a good race. It was a very good race. It was a race I haven't seen like in a long time. There was a lot of lead changes. There was a lot of complicated maneuvers that the drivers were making. I was very, very happy to see Jeff Gordon, even though he did not win the race, win the championship, I was happy to see him at least lead some in that last race. And had a good lead, too. He was way out there in front of the other drivers. So that made me happy. But it was a really good race. It was it honestly, I don't know, maybe Martinsville, just because of what happened earlier in the season, may also be placed in this category, but it was probably one of my favorite races all season long.
Okay. I guess with Gordon, with Jeff Gordon, what ended up happening that caused him to not be able to hold on to the lead there?
I don't think. I don't know. I'm thinking he was trying to play it safe. I know he didn't. I really am not sure, but if I could guess, I would just say he was just trying to play it safe and not get in a wreck, because that's something that could have ruined his chances. That's what happened to Richard Petty on his last race. He got in a wreck. Now they were able to get him back on the track, but he still finished not so good. So I think he wanted to finish respectively, at least in his last race, and without any issues.
Gotcha.
But I think he was just trying to play it safe, yeah.
And that makes sense, because we talk about it all the time with legends. You see the way the Kobe's going, the way the Peyton Manning's going, and
yeah,
it's nice when you can just see a guy kind of just ride off. He looks good. That's how we remember Jeff Gordon, respectable.
Yeah. And he finished, I think, within the top 10 or at least top 15, and that's good. That's better than being like 32nd or 41st or 43rd. That's pretty good.
What did Kyle Busch do to win this race?
Kyle Busch, he had a good car. He had a good team. He had a good strategy, I think. He knew what he had to do to get to the front of the pack. He was aggressive. He didn't take it. He took chances, which is something that a lot of drivers don't do. And that makes me upset, because that's how you win races. You take chances, even though when they may not look like the best option, but it could be the only option. You need to take that chance.
It's with Kyle Busch, especially because people call him reckless and all of those things, but you can't be afraid to fail in NASCAR.
Oh no, you can't. It's that kind of sport. You either take a chance and succeed, or you take that chance and fail. There's no middle ground. You can't be on the fence about doing something. You have to either do it or don't.
Well, I'm personally I'm a fan of how Kyle Busch drives. Also, it's just it's very exciting to watch. It's thrilling. He's kind of crazy, I will admit. There is an element of insanity there to the way that he drives, and certainly part of his issues with other drivers is the craziness and the risk taking. He doesn't just put himself out there. He puts other people at risk a little bit too, which is part of the reason why why people don't like him. But I think the reason why he's so unlikable also is just that he doesn't handle that well. If he could just apologize ever, even.
Yeah. There's also been some talk I've heard about was his win. I mean, did he? Because he missed the whole first half of the season, but so people are saying, could his win? Should it be even eligible? Because he didn't race probably the first. I think it was the first several races of the season. And honestly, I think he was eligible. I think he did a good job. I think his story of how he won was it's remarkable because back at Daytona, he wasn't even in the Daytona 500. He was laying in a hospital with his wife by his side watching the race. And now, almost a year later, he's in victory lane holding the championship trophy, and he with his wife by his side. And that's just remarkable. It's a remarkable comeback story, even for fans that don't like Kurt Busch like I do.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Like that's what we like about sports, like the will to win and come back from adversity. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose. On the phone with us is our NASCAR expert, Sam Blevins.
I wouldn't say expert.
I would. Well, okay. Relative to me, you are an expert for sure. Even at novice, you know much more than I do. You sound good, man.
Oh, thank you.
So I wanted to ask you because you did mention it earlier when we were on the phone. You had some racers, some drivers to look forward to for next season.
Yes.
Anybody stick out to you in particular?
I think I actually could think of two guys. I think you need to watch out for Clint Boyer. Would be the first one off my list. Clint Boyer, he had a rotten season this season. I'm just going to be completely honest. It was awful. He had an awful race car, but that's not his fault. That was his team's fault. Because he was with Michael Waltrip Racing. Not to say they're a bad team. They just didn't have any money. They just didn't have any money, which is why MWR Racing is going under this season, and which is why he'd be without a car if he hadn't gotten picked up by S&H Racing. And I think with Stewart retiring, I think he'll be driving Stewart's car possibly come 2017. So I think next season he'll have a new team, he'll have a new car, he'll have a new, I guess you could even say, motivation to race.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I see
Boyer,
that.
I think, is definitely one of those drivers to look for. Another driver I would possibly be looking for is Jimmy Johnson. You didn't hear much out of Jimmy Johnson this season. You heard some, but usually he's pretty in there. He's pretty. You hear a lot about him, but I think with Jimmy, always he's a powerhouse driver. He knows how to race. He knows how to win. I mean, heck, he won like 3 championships in a row, 3-4 championships in a row. So definitely, I think Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer are two drivers to definitely watch for next season.
This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Clutch with Keon Rose. On the phone with us is Sam Blevins talking some NASCAR. Not to jump back to Kyle Busch, but I guess I have to jump back because I forgot to ask you my question about Kyle Busch. He's supposed to have off-season surgery here coming up. That surgery on his foot. Do you know anything about that? Could you talk about that a little bit?
I haven't heard anything about that, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, he got in a bad injury, injury earlier in the year, and that's why he was in the hospital. I'm just kind of curious as to see, will this surgery affect his, what foot is it on, do you know?
That's a good question. I just had it in my notes.
I guess it would matter if it's either foot, because NASCAR is they have to press the gas pedal with one, the clutch with the other. So, that's what I'm curious. Will it affect his racing? And will he possibly be even out? Will the recovery time, will he still be recovering when it's time for preseason testing and Daytona, the race week?
That's a good question because the surgery is supposed to be December 14th or 15th. He's going to do surgery. It's going to be on both of his legs. To remove the plates and screws from his left foot and then remove the rod from his right leg where he was injured before as well. So he's getting 2 surgeries done on both of his legs.
Well, I think it shouldn't affect him because, I mean, he can bounce back. We saw that this week. He can bounce back with his recovery, with his injuries, being in the hospital like that. He can bounce back. So I don't know. I can see it being a problem, but I can't see it being a problem for long. If you kind of get what I'm saying with that.
I do, because Kyle Busch is a durable guy. That's, if anything we've learned from this season, is that if anyone could come back from injury and return to form, it's going to be him.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, I think that's basically the breakdown of the race there. We're coming up against it here at the end of the show. But Sam, thank you so much for joining me after Thanksgiving.
Hey, no problem. I enjoy it. It's always a fun part of my day and a fun part of my week to get to be on your show and talk a little NASCAR.
All right. And next time we'll see you will be before Daytona.
Yes, sir. Friday before Daytona. We'll come on. We'll break down what's coming up, and we'll talk about the drivers and just have a good old time.
All right. Looking forward to it, man.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Keon.
No problem. Enjoy your holiday, my friend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. That was Sam Blevins. I call him a NASCAR expert. He wouldn't say that he's a NASCAR expert, but here's the thing. Like, Sam watches a lot of NASCAR, knows a lot of NASCAR, is a huge fan, and as many races as he can try and get out to see, he'll get out there and see them. And how do you become an expert at something? You watch a lot of it. You know, I try to watch as much football and basketball as I can because those are my 2 favorite sports, and those are the 2 sports I'm trying to know the most about. Simply watching, you gain that experience. I don't think you realize how much experience you gain by watching. What makes you a great analyst then is to be able to articulate and say what it is that you understand. Because a lot of fans, like, I don't think I'm better than anybody listening to this show. Like, I don't think that I understand the game on a deeper level. I'm not some great guru, okay? They're athletes, you know, especially in college football. Like, I miss the names of people. There's so much that, like, I don't have all the information in my head. I'm really good at saying it. I'm not smarter than any of you. Just a fan like you guys. I'm better at saying it, I think. But Sam watches a lot of NASCAR. He's got that experience.
12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Pam Coulter. Demonstrating comes before shopping for hundreds of people in Chicago.
I'm a